What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And UFC Atlantic City just took place, and it was a rough card. It was, you know what, it was weird. It wasn't a terrible card. There were actually 8 finishes out of 13 fights, but the pacing of it was just weird, and the moments where it was just slow really took out of the card. So I'm going to be talking about every fight, starting from the first prelim, ending with the main event, and giving my reaction and breakdown of every single matchup that took place. Let's get started with the early prelim opener. Lochran versus Angel Pacheco. Lochran got the win here comfortably. He got it done. And it was actually a good win for him. He won 30-27 on the scorecards. In the second round, he took Pacheco down, beat him up a bunch. Arguably could have been stopped, but in the end, obviously, Pacheco survived. But yeah, he was getting cracked a lot, and his chin definitely did help him at some points, because he was not defensively responsible for a lot of this fight. He was getting cracked on the chin, but ultimately he was kicking the leg of Pacheco really badly. Pacheco was hurt on that leg, and then on the feet he was just beating him up a whole bunch, and then on the ground he took him down and just had his way with him, beat him up. Got the 30-27 decision, 30-26 on one scorecard. But yeah, it was a good win for Lochran, and he called out Raul Rosas Jr., which is an interesting one. But let's move on to the next fight. Andre Petroski versus Jacob Malkoon. This was an interesting one because I think it was at first or second round? I think it was second round. So the first round was pretty close. Both of them actually hurt each other. But then second round comes out and Petroski shoots a takedown. And he then goes to the ground immediately afterwards. Looks like he's hurt or dazed or something. And then Malkoon just follows up and boots him in the fucking liver with a body kick on the ground, which was a sick move. And the fight gets called off. So we were all really confused what the fuck happened. And by showing the replay, they pretty much determined the only thing that could have happened was that he hit his head on the hip of Jacob Malkoon, and he concussed himself by headbutting the hip of Jacob Malkoon, and then obviously went to the ground, was rocked, and then got kicked in the body. So, really weird fight, really weird finish, but fair play, Jacob Malkoon, he got it done. I picked him to win, and yeah, it was good stuff for him. But let's move on to the next fight. Ibo Islam versus Anton Chelik. Ibo Islam got this one done by KO in the third round. It was a pretty impressive performance. You know, not really. Like, it was an impressive finish, but the fight as a whole, it was fun as fuck, but it was extremely sloppy. Both of them were just swinging, no technique, no fucking placement, no timing, just fucking swinging big bombs, yeah? Absolute feels. So yeah, that's Conor McGregor's analysis of the fight. But yeah, these two just slugged it out. They just swung, and I think Anton Chelik needs to remember that he doesn't have an amazing chin. I mean, he did take some big shots, so fair play. He probably was like, I'm getting cracked by this guy and I'm fine. But eventually the damage was too much and he just got put down badly. He got dropped on his ass and his hands were like on the floor posting up, and then the ref called it off. I saw MMA Guru saying it was an early stoppage. I don't think so. Bro, you're in that position, the guy's charging towards you, about to throw another punch, and your hands are on the mat and you're just looking up. Like, he was not in a defensive position. He would have got fucking slapped out bad. So yeah, I think it was a good stoppage, but Ibo Islam, definitely a lot to work on in terms of the technique department. But Anton Chelik, honestly, you know what? Normally I wouldn't say this about someone who's 0-4. Normally I would be saying to cut them, but keep him around, honestly. He's just a fun fighter. You can put him in there with anyone and he's just going to be retarded, probably get finished. And let's see how long we can extend this losing streak of Anton Chelik, or can he finally get a win in the UFC, which would be a great day for mankind. But I picked Islam to win and he got it done. So let's move on to the next fight. Dennis Bazooka versus Conor Matthews. This was a great win for Dennis Bazooka. He got it done by TKO in the third round. He won the first two pretty clearly in my eyes. He came out, he was hurting Matthews a little bit, but was just faster, just a cleaner striker. Matthews didn't look all that good. Even though I picked him to win, he did not look as good as I expected him to. I probably should have just gone with my initial lean. I was like, I know who Dennis Bazooka is. I don't know who Conor Matthews is. I'm going to pick the guy who I know. But then I was like, oh, let me see who other people are picking. And a lot of people were picking Matthews, and it kind of swayed me. So no excuses on the pick, of course. But, you know, the classic UFC fighter. I'm not going to make any excuses, but also I was injured, and yeah, I slipped on a banana peel. So yeah, I could have gotten this right if I stuck to my gut, but whatever. Good win from Dennis Bazooka. And if you saw Conor McGregor's Twitter, he was absolutely coked out of his mind. Just, I don't know what the fuck he was saying. Because Conor Matthews fights out of the New England cartel, and then Conor McGregor was tweeting saying, this Matthews guy is associated with a cartel in some way. He was just tweeting up coked up nonsense. He's like, I'm the only Conor in the UFC. I'm changing your name to Matthew Connors instead of Conor Matthews. So Conor's breakdown and Conor's thoughts on this fight were probably more interesting than the fight itself. Honestly, it wasn't a crazy good fight. It wasn't bad by any means, but obviously the third round finish did come for Dennis Bazooka. He got him with a left hook and put him down. Not like dropped him, but he kind of hurt him, and then he just was weak-legged, went to the ground, got follow-up shot, all the way, and then got the finish. So good job, Bazooka. Probably saved himself from being cut. So maybe I should put more thought into anytime someone's probably going to get cut if they lose, just pick them to win. But let's move on to another fight. Julio Arce versus Herbert Burns. If you were intelligent, you were picking Julio Arce, which of course I picked Julio Arce to win. I did kind of have a weird feeling that Burns was just going to pull out some sort of fluky KO or submission out of nowhere. And he had a few moments, but not much, to be honest. It was pretty much all Julio Arce. Burns is just not able to battle back from any adversity. If you put this guy in a bad position, he just crumbles. He got cracked by Arce. He nut shot at Arce twice in the first round and even got a point taken. So that probably kind of subconsciously put in the back of his mind. He's like, oh fuck, I'm not going to win this shit. Kind of just like gave up early. He's like, I'm not even going to win. I already got a point taken. Fuck this. And then he just stopped trying, I think. But yeah, good win from Julio Arce. Cracked him in the second and then put him away against the fence with an eventual knockdown to get the win. So good win from Arce, but you got to make the weight, bro. You're coming up from bantamweight to featherweight, and you're missing weight. Like, the fuck are you doing? But let's move on to the next fight. Lupe Godinez versus Vera Joba. I picked Lupe Godinez to win, and I thought my pick was good, because in my opinion, she did win the fight, but whatever, judges didn't go her way. I think she won the first two, and then I think the third was definitely leaning towards a Vera round at the end. So I think first round was close. I'm not going to say it was a robbery, but I do think that 30-27 Vera Jandiroba scorecard was a bit retarded, because Vera had no moments on the feet. It was all Lupe Godinez on the feet. She was the one doing all the damage. She's kind of stumbled, not like rocked, but like you could see Vera go a little bit wobbly at times when Lupe landed on the feet. But apart from that, she had a little bit of ground control time. In the second round, that was in the first. In the second round, it was just a whole lot of like neither one of them was on top. They were both just kind of sitting on their ass, and then Lupe Godinez was just going for a fucking leg lock for like 2 minutes instead of actually trying to push grappling. These guys are fucking retarded. Yes, I said guys, because I'm pretty sure they are males. But they sure as hell don't fight like them, because otherwise they might be able to knock the opponent out. But yeah, good win from Joba, I guess. She got the back and beat her up a little bit in the third. That was the only time when she really had effective grappling, but the 30-27 scorecard I disagree with. I gave Lupe the first and second, and even in the third she was clearly winning until the last 2 minutes, so fair play. You can give Vera the third with the rear naked choke attempt, but I think Lupe won the first and second, but whatever, close enough fight. I'm not gonna call robbery. Let's move on though to the next matchup. Nate Landwehr versus Jamal Emmers. Now, I picked Jamal Emmers by round 1 TKO or KO, and I was pretty fucking close, but turns out, you can rock your opponent within the first 20 seconds. You can be landing pretty much at will on them, but if you don't have more than 2 minutes of cardio, you're cooked. And Nate Landwehr, he had more than 2 minutes of cardio, so Jamal Emmers rocked him badly, was hurting him all over the place early on in the first round. And then Emmers started overthrowing for the finish, trying to swing like a spastic. Even though you have a reach advantage, just throw straight punches. But no, he's over-swinging and trying to throw fucking overhands and shit. And so yeah, Landwehr was able to kind of get back in the fight and get in his dirty boxing range, which is where he does good work. He got in the clinch, landed some good uppercuts, and then eventually he just found a nice combination, just landed multiple shots around the guard that put Emmers down, because Emmers doesn't know how to fight behind a reach advantage after he's hurt the opponent. So yeah, my first round KO for Emmers was looking pretty solid, but then he just kind of forgot how to defend punches and got put down and put away. So good job, Nate the Train gets the win and had a nice post-fight interview. Let's move on though to the main card. Chidi Njokuani versus Reece McKee. So this one was a weird one. I didn't catch all of it because I had family over. We were having family lunch for Easter. Happy Easter to all the viewers. But yeah, I caught bits of this. It did kind of seem to me pretty clearly that Chidi Njokuani won the fight either 29-28 or 30-27. When I heard the 29-28 scorecard for Reece McKee, I thought I was going to get another robbery, because the two fights before this I got wrong. I started 3-0 to start the card, and then I was a bit iffy, bit up and down, and then I got the the last two fights on the prelims wrong, and I was like, oh fuck, they're going to give a robbery decision, and I'm going to get my pick wrong. But yeah, no, Chidi won, in my opinion. Reece McKee was just trying to hold the clinch the whole time from what I saw. Chidi was doing really the only damaging shots, kicking his leg a lot. Reece McKee landed a few shots in the first, but yeah, everything Chidi threw was more impactful, and Reece McKee was just doing a whole lot of nothing. Let's move on, though, up the card. Kyle Nelson versus Bill Algeo. This one was an interesting one, and a lot of people thought it was an early stoppage. I would definitely lean on the side of being an early stoppage as well. So, Kyle Nelson, fair play to him. He rocked, and he was cracking Bill Algeo a lot early in the first round. It was kind of a little bit of feeling out, and then he just cracked him. I forgot what the initial shot was, but he had him rocked. He was punching him a whole bunch. The referee was a bit too close for my liking. Like, alright, bro, he wobbled him on the feet. You don't need to be fully in there just going, is there fucking, can I see, is he alright? Like, you can just chill out, just let him, like, you can just back off for a bit. But then eventually, like, Algeo was kind of calling him on, saying, come on. He was definitely wobbled, though, and then Kyle Nelson landed a big shot over the top. I think it was an overhand. And then he kind of wobbled off, similar to like Ferguson against Gaethje, but obviously less cumulative damage. It was like a big shot, and then he kind of wobbled off a bit. And because the referee was looking so intently for so long, he was even though it was early, he was kind of thinking in his mind like, oh, I'm about to stop this. All I need is one big shot. Even though you shouldn't have stopped it, he saw that big shot and he was like, oh, I was kind of thinking about stopping it, and now he landed another big shot. I'm going to stop it. So definitely a tad early stoppage. I do think Nelson probably would have gotten him out of there, but you never know. Maybe Algeo survives and comes back, but we can't be playing ifs, ands, or buts. So yeah, good win from Kyle Nelson. He gets a finish, so fair play. Let's move up the card. Nursultan Ruziboev versus Cedricus Dumas. So the and the current the recorded felon, Cedricus Dumas, got TKO'd in the first round via eye poke. It was very interesting stuff. So this one was one of two controversial, or technically 3 in a row controversial finishes. Obviously an early stoppage questioning, and then obviously these 2 eye poke finishes I'm about to talk about. So Ruziboev was doing well. He was landing a bunch, but he was swinging a lot. It didn't look too clean, but eventually he lands a shot, and it was pretty clearly an eye poke. I was kind of confused. I didn't exactly see what was happening. But he landed what looked like an eye poke. Dumas kind of held the side of his face and looked for time, but I assume the ref thought, it was like a punch or something. And so he says, keep going. Ruziboev didn't even ask him, though. Ruziboev wasn't even, thinking about stopping. He just went for him. And because the referees got a moment of hesitancy, Ruziboev was just like, oh, fuck you, I already fucking, you're hurt right now, you're not defending yourself, I'm just gonna KO you. So he just jumped on him and just threw a bunch of ground and pound, finished him off. So fair play, Ruziboev did what he needed to, but the ref should have stepped in and said, hang on, let's check this was a eye poke. And then if it wasn't, then you can take a point from Dumas or something and say, take a point for faking and trying to call time. That's what you could have done, but the ref just kind of forgot that eye pokes are illegal, and yeah, it looked pretty clearly to me like it was an eye poke. So yeah, Ruziboev gets the win. I picked him to win, but a bit iffy for Dumas, but who cares, he beats up women, so I have no sympathy for the man. Let's move on though, up the card. Chris Weidman versus Bruno Silva. Now this was the other weird one on the card. So what happened here? First round, Weidman won pretty clearly. He actually landed a decent flurry on Bruno Silva and then ended up kind of just holding onto the back, landing knees to the thigh for the rest of the round. So he won the first round. Second round was pretty close, but then Weidman cracked him big at the end. And I think during the second round, Bruno Silva got eye poked, and obviously he took time, and that was enough. But he took time in the second round for an eye poke. Third round, Weidman comes out and just stabs this man in the eye pretty clearly, as you can see from the photo. It was pretty clearly an eye poke. Bruno Silva goes to ground. Referee doesn't stop it. Chris Weidman follows up, lands ground and pound, gets called off. Initially, when Buffer announced it was a TKO. Then what happens, they pretty clearly saw it was an eye poke, so hang on, what are we doing here? But then they do the standard procedure, which is if it's the third round and a no contest, or an accidental foul occurs, then they go to the scorecards to that point, and the first and second round were both scored for Weidman. So he got the TKO overturns to a technical decision. It was a bit iffy for Silva, but come on, that was fucking multiple eye pokes, and it was pretty bad. The referee also should have stepped in. So yeah, bit of a mess, but good job, Weidman. I didn't pick him to win because, he's 40 years of age and has no ACL. But I am going to say good job, and I'm going to not cope about my pick. And yeah, fair play. I'm happy to see Weidman get the win. Fight either a legend next or just retire, honestly. Don't try and fight these fucking up-and-comers or these power punchers or anything like that. You'll just get tuned up. Let's move on, though, to the co-main event. Vicente Luque versus Buckley. Buckley got the win here by second round TKO. This was fucking odd, I'll be honest. So first round was pretty close. It could have gone either way. Luque slipped off balance at one point. Apart from that, a whole lot of nothing going on, I'll be honest. I think Luque was landing a couple of the better shots, but first round was debatable. I'm sure it probably would have been split on the scorecards. But second round comes out. Buckley lands actually a couple big shots, and I was like, oh, Luque is fucking quitting or something, what's he doing? And then they end up in a grappling exchange. Luque shoots a takedown, fails it, and then instead of easily standing up, which he could have, he sits to his butt, pulls guard, and then Buckley just starts throwing ground and pound. A lot of it was landing clean, a lot of it was landing on the guard, but he just keeps throwing, and even if you thought it was maybe a bit of an early stoppage, you can't deny Luque was doing fuck all. He was not improving his position. He wasn't trying to get out of there. He looked like he kind of just took a bit of damage, and he was like, oh, fuck. I think that brain bleed that he suffered against Jeff Neal definitely did something to him. Did something to his confidence and his ability to take strikes. Because if you watch the RDA fight, he basically did not want to strike at all. He wrestled the whole time. And then here, he kind of pulled guard. I think he was some weird, jiu-jitsu mode or something. He just forgot he was in a fucking MMA match. And then he pulls guard, and then Buckley starts hitting him, and he's like, what the fuck? And then his brain just forgets to actually get out of there and just kind of gets TKO'd. He was never, rocked on the ground. His head was never bounced back into the canvas. He kind of just sat there and just got TKO'd. It was so weird. Fair play, Buckley is now a ranked welterweight. Pretty crazy. So congrats to him. MMA Guru coped majorly about this. If you haven't seen the video, he literally pulled out his fucking earphones and was throwing things. It was very funny. Called it a rigged fight. I don't think it's a rigged fight. I genuinely just think Luque shat the bed and just kind of quit. It sucks to say because Luque is normally a warrior. He's normally a guy that just scraps it out. But I do think that fight against Jeff Neal did something to him. It did something to his confidence. And yeah, he started taking some damage, started facing some adversity, and he kind of just had a brain fade and forgot how to do shit and just died. So yeah, tough for Luque, but good job, Buckley. Call out was weird. Call out a name, bro. He said, I want to fight Missouri, St. Louis card. I was like, cool, sick. You want to call out an opponent? And he said something about Anheuser-Busch or some bullshit like that. Come on, bro, just call out a name. Call out an MVP, a Jeff Neal, any of these guys. Call them out. A Burns, any of these guys. But no, just be retarded. So yeah, fair play. Let's move on though to the main event. Manon Furo versus Aaron Blanchard. Manon Furo won 5-0, 50-45 on all scorecards. I agreed with the decision. I thought maybe one round, the fourth could have gone to Blanchard, but no, I have no dispute of this scorecard. Just wanted to talk about the actual fight itself, which was really weird, because Aaron Blanchard, who it was pretty clearly known in this going into this fight, Fiore's the striker, Aaron's the grappler. But no, Aaron shot a couple shitty half-assed takedowns the whole time, and apart from that, just tried to strike at range with Manon Furo, who has a reach advantage, and is just going to keep you at bay with straight punches. Blanchard just kept running in like a tard, didn't know how to defend herself, kept getting cracked. If this was men's MMA, she would have been KO'd in the second. But it's just because it's women's MMA and they have no power, she's able to get away with just running in like a spaz. But fair play, good job to Manon Furo. I picked Blanchard, and initially I was confident, and then I kind of thought to myself, I was like, hang on, she kind of struggles to get takedowns against people with physicality, and her striking looks mid as hell. So, yeah, Manon Furo, in hindsight, definitely was the better pick to make, but hindsight 2020, it's tough to make the picks before you actually see the fight. So yeah, I did awful on predictions. I did 6 and 7, so I went negative percentage on picks. I was below 50%. Absolutely terrible stuff from me. So yeah, back-to-back weeks of just absolutely shocking picks. That's rough. I guess these random fight nights I can't do anything with, but we'll be back for UFC. Well, there's another fight night next weekend, which I'll probably do shit again. But we're back for 300. And you know what I say? Who cares about the random shitty fights? It's the big cards that matter. So I'm going to fucking sweep 300 and I'll be back on top of the game. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a comment what your thoughts were on the fight. Like, subscribe, go follow my Instagram, Left Lane MMA. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.